Hi everyone, Anakin here. So, this is the first kind of showing of the actual cards for Skirmish. So, we will go through the 10 basic characters that you will be getting from your starter deck. So, I will start with the Tribal Warrior first. So, the Tribal Warrior here, he's a hero. Your deck will be built around a character of some kind. The characters can either come as heroes, and later sets I have planned will be villains as well. Since not all historical figures were good guys, I really wanted to try to put some bad ones in there, so I figure heroes and villains would be perfect for this sort of thing. So now your guy does have an ability here. So the tribal warrior, he'll come into play immediately. Same thing as your opponents. Everyone starts off with their characters on the board. So with the tribal warrior, when you take damage, you may reduce it by 1 for each card you discard from your hand. And then here is his 7 stats. So these limit what your character can do deck wise from the start. So might limits your equipment on the field. Agility that determines who goes first. Fortitude is how much your maximum health that you have and your starting health. So you'll start with 8. Faith, this is used to resist spell effects, as you'll see on cards. Mind, that's your how many spells you can have on the field at one time. So the tribal warrior can only have 3, whereas with his might of 6, he can carry more equipment than spells. Appeal, a 5. This is how many creature cards you could have at the field at one time. So with Appeal 5, he could have 5 creatures out. And then Luck of 4. This is kind of like Faith. It's used in response to some cards. So his luck is okay-ish, not that great. But anyway, so that's the Tribal Warrior, and I'll show you the other ones. So here is the Shaman. So the Shaman, he's built similar, same thing, 7 stats. His function here is once during the main phase of your turn, during main phase, you may remove all counters from target creature. So he helps clears buffs. Then you got the Scoundrel. Once per turn, deal 1 damage to target blocking card. So anytime, once per turn, if someone is blocking, she can ping them to try to knock some low-level cards out. And as you can see, her stats are different than the other 2 characters. Then we have the Witch. The Witch's ability is whenever another player rolls dice against a spell effect you own, they must roll 6 to succeed. What that means is when you use spells and a couple other things, mainly spells against other players, they actually have to roll dice against the effect. And how that's determined, they roll dice equal to usually the amount of faith they have. So if the witch is, let's say, getting a hit by a spell that requires her to roll against faith, she will roll 6 dice to try to get a 5 or 6, generally. Now, what the witch does, she forces your opponent to have to roll straight 6s to succeed against her spells, making them decently, buffed and harder to resist. Then we got the Virtuoso, which the Virtuoso here, he's an artist, crafting and stuff, which is why it looks like a blacksmith. During resource phase, he gains 1 resource. What that means for this game is generally most players won't be able to produce a resource on the first turn of their game. But the Virtuoso here, he has an advantage where because of that, he's great for trying to pump out things earlier as opposed to other people. And then, as you can see, he has 7 stats, but they're a little different. And then we got the Soldier, which the Soldier here, his combat damage is increased by 1 when he attacks when attacking with other creatures. So as far as he goes, him by himself, he's going to deal 1 point of damage to other cards, whether they're creatures or creatures or other character cards. But if you have a couple other creatures on the field and he's tagging with them, he'll deal an extra point of damage, which is a nice little boost. The Inventor here, she is similar to the Virtuoso. Once during main phase, You may discard a structure or equipment card from play. You then gain resources equal to the cost of that card plus 1. Which means she does gain your resources, kind of like the virtuoso, but does at a cost. You gotta sacrifice stuff to get it, and then it could be a large boost if you do it right. And like the other one, she has other similar stats that are different than others. The Nun, once during main phase, you may place a +1/+1 counter on a target creature. So she can bless them and boost them up slowly, but still that +1/+1 matters. And then has her own stats. And then the Witch Doctor. Once per turn, you may discard a card to increase spell damage of your next spell by 1. Yep, so you can make a future spell here, do a little more damage. And then the Martial Artist. Once per turn, discard a card from your hand. Increase combat damage by 1 until end of turn. And those are the 10 basic character cards. And that's what they do and all that fun stuff. Here, give me 1 second here. We'll get to the next here. So, as I was saying with that thing, there are spells in the game. So, this is one of them. So, spells are not quick, and they're not quick, do it, effect, and dissipate. So, they do have a cost. So, which that is right up here. Resources 2. And spells, they sit out in the field until you're used. So, when you actually use it, you will tap it, doing its effect, and then it'll refresh at the start of the next turn. So when you use this, you choose one effect. You can deal 1 magic damage to target creature, or you target a player and force them to roll dice versus faith. If no successes, they take 1 magic damage. So with this game here, your character cards that are on the field, they also represent the player. So anything that will target a card or target a player affects both. Once you knock someone's character off the field, that player loses. So that's a spell card for you. Here is a creature card. So it states that, just creature, and then this is simple. Just attack, defense, and a resource cost. So creatures can't attack the first turn they come out usually. The attack 2 and defense 2, if when they deal damage, they'll deal 2 damage. When they take damage, they could take up to 2. If they hit 0, if they take that 2 damage, they're out. If you have a character like the Nun, you can add pluses to them and it will increase their attack and defense, making them do more damage and hard to take out. So there's a creature card for you. Here is an equipment card for you, leather armor. As you see, it's got a resource cost of 1. An equipment here, reduce combat damage your character takes by 1. Doesn't stack with other equipment. So using that, it'll protect your main character from light damage stuff, and maybe some other effects. But yeah, that's a little basic equipment there for you. These are encounter cards. So encounters they're not considered spells. They're basically schemes and stuff you can play on other players or yourself. So this is mugged. Cost 1, it's encounter. On your primary phase, target a player. They must roll dice versus luck. So if you have a character such as the Nun here, her luck of 5, she would have to roll 5 dice to try to get a 5 or a 6 on one of those dice. If a success is not rolled, they take 1 damage and must discard 1 equipment. That's for. Certain other ones here, like Burn It Down, it costs 5. So this encounter, use on your primary phase. Target structure is discarded. So this is good to get rid of other people's structures, which you may be wondering what those are exactly. I'll show you in just a second. So here you go. Here's a nice basic one. A tent. So as far as tents go, okay, little sleeve look a little weird. So this is a tent. A tent is a 0-cost structure. You can only play 1 structure per turn. And as you can see, you gain 1 resource during resource phase, just for having it out. You don't have to tap it or anything like that. As long as your stuff is in play during the resource phase at the beginning of someone's turn, they'll generate resources and you'll have a resource pool to use. You don't have to worry about like special colors or energies or anything like that. Everything is just a general resource, and those are your cards. That's what you'll use to play cards. So there's that. You got equipment, counters, structures, spells. I think I covered everything that's in the basic thing. But yeah, so that's what you do. And next video, I will actually show a demo of playing the game. Thank you.